It's a sad truth, but speaking about your faith in Jesus in Hollywood is the best way to destroy your career. These 8 celebrities face that exact dilemma. Speak up about Jesus and risk losing millions, or stay silent and keep the fame flowing. Hollywood has a message: keep your faith private or pay the price. But these stars chose to speak and face the consequences. Some got blacklisted, others lost agents, but all of them discovered something more valuable than any movie deal. Let's start with the man who knew his career was over the moment he said yes to Jesus. Jim Caviezel was Hollywood's golden boy, leading man in The Count of Monte Cristo, headlining major films, and agents fighting over him. But then Mel Gibson called him one day and offered him a role that would change everything.
I picked up the phone and I said, yeah, I was busy. And he goes, hey, Jim, it's Mel. And I said, Mel who? And he goes, I don't know, Mel Brooks. Hey, he was smoking a cigarette. And he goes, do you still want to play this Jesus guy?
What Caviezel didn't realize, though, was that Gibson wasn't offering him the role of a lifetime. He was handing him a career death sentence, and Gibson knew it. That's why, moments after offering him the part, he gave Caviezel a warning.
If you do, you may never work in this town again.
That's when Jim knew he was standing at a crossroads. He could either play it safe and protect his career, or step into something bigger than himself.
I was scared for a moment, and then this peace came over me. And I could feel it. It was from heaven. And I said, look, man, we're all called to carry our cross. If you don't pick up and carry your cross, you will be crushed by the weight of it.
As we all know, Passion of the Christ went on to become a huge success. But Gibson was right about the career death. After the film grossed $612 million worldwide, Jim went from A-list leading man to Hollywood outcast. 2 agents and his lawyer dropped him, and studios simply stopped calling. He later revealed, all of a sudden, I stopped being one of 5 most popular actors in the studio, and I hadn't done anything wrong. I just played Jesus. But here's what's incredible. Jim doesn't regret his decision one bit. Did this rejection affect me personally? Well, everyone has their cross to bear. But hey, in the end, none of us will live in this world forever. Not even those Hollywood producers. At some point, everyone will have to answer for what they have done. The film brought him closer to God than any role ever could. He was struck by lightning during filming, suffered a separated shoulder, and almost bit his tongue off. It forced me into the arms of my God because I had nowhere else to go. Today, he's preparing to play Jesus again in Gibson's sequel. Hollywood may have rejected him, but Jim found something worth a lot more than fame. But losing a career is nothing compared to what the next star risked. Terry Crews built his image on being the ultimate tough guy, NFL player turned action star, and muscles like a Greek god. But behind the biceps was a secret that was destroying his marriage. Crews had battled pornography addiction since age 9, hiding it from his wife for almost 20 years. And when she finally confronted him, her response shattered him.
She was like, no, in fact, I want to stay, but I gotta go. I gotta go.
That's when this 250-pound giant made the bravest choice of his life. He got vulnerable. He said, I picked up the phone and did something the younger me would never have considered. I called my pastor. But let's back up a bit. Growing up in a strict religious home in Flint, Michigan, Crews thought faith meant hiding weakness. His alcoholic father taught him that vulnerability was dangerous. But losing his wife taught him something different.
Knowing, there were times I would come home and she'd be in tears, and I know it was because of me. And that hurts a woman. I mean, that's to the core.
That's when Crews realized he was chasing the wrong answers. Who was stronger and yet more vulnerable than Jesus? Crews now asks. So instead of hiding his addiction, Crews went public. He risked his tough guy brand to help other men facing the same battle. The more you try to hide it, the stronger it gets. But when everybody knows your issue, you sweep it away. Today, Crews hosts the Movie Guide Awards and openly credits his praying wife for saving their marriage. She has prayed us through so many things. The man who thought strength meant secrets discovered that real power comes from truth. Now let's take a detour from addiction recovery all the way to fashion rebellion. Kylie Basutti had pretty much everything she could possibly dream of. Victoria's Secret angel at 19, modeling contracts worth millions, the dream every girl supposedly wants. Then God changed her heart completely.
A lot of things led up to my decision, but the main thing was growing in my faith and in my relationship with the Lord. Also, being a newlywed, I just really want my body to be for my husband.
So she did the unthinkable. She walked away from Victoria's Secret at the peak of her career. The fashion industry was shocked, and her agents called her crazy. But Basutti had discovered something more valuable than money.
I just feel like I can be more honoring to God by doing this and be a better role model to younger girls.
And when asked about the pressure from both sides, she admitted that things are not as simple as they seem.
I definitely feel pressure. I felt pressure even being a Victoria's Secret model and doing lingerie as well. So I think there's pressure on both sides.
But still, her mind is made up, and there's no going back to who she was.
I just don't want to be a symbol. I don't want to be selling.
She traded millions for meaning and never looked back.
And this is just my conviction, and I don't judge others for what they're doing in their lives.
But Kylie isn't the only one on this list who found faith in the most unexpected places. Kathy Ireland graced Sports Illustrated covers for 13 consecutive years. Supermodel, actress, the face of the 80s and 90s. But fame left her empty, and she said so herself. I was successful by the world's standards, but I felt like something was missing. That something was Jesus. Through reading scripture and studying apologetics, Ireland discovered that faith was more about truth than it was about feelings.
As I opened and started reading, my life was forever changed. And I knew that what I was holding in my hands was the truth.
That's how Ireland found purpose. And from then on, she knew she'd stop at nothing to spread God's word. She used her platform to speak about pro-life issues, even when it cost her Hollywood friends. Today, she's built a billion-dollar business empire and uses her success to fund crisis pregnancy centers and speak truth to a culture that desperately needs it. Now let's go from California beaches all the way to the Middle Earth. Sean Astin grew up as Hollywood royalty. He's the son of Patty Duke, stepson of John Astin. So acting was in his blood, but faith, well, that came later. I was raised in a very secular household, Astin reveals. God wasn't part of the conversation, but playing Samwise Gamgee in Lord of the Rings introduced him to J.R.R. Tolkien's deeply Christian worldview. The themes of sacrifice, friendship, and fighting darkness, they all resonated in ways Astin didn't expect. It made him want to explore Christianity for myself. That exploration led to conversion, which in turn led him to read the Bible cover to cover with his wife.
My wife and I spent a summer reading the entire King James Version of the Bible from beginning to end. We actually got Alexander Scourby's audio version of the Bible, and we read and highlighted and went through every word of the Bible.
The hobbit who carried Frodo up Mount Doom found the ultimate treasure, a relationship with Jesus Christ. But since we're on the topic of hobbits, why not mention action heroes as well? Dennis Quaid was flying high in the 80s. Top Gun, The Right Stuff, Great Balls of Fire. He was basically Hollywood's golden boy. He was also snorting 2 grams of cocaine a day. Years later, Quaid admitted that it was even worse than it seemed. I thought I was functioning, but I was dying inside. But the real rock bottom moment came when his young son found his drug stash.
But I remember going home and having kind of a white light experience that I saw myself either dead or in jail or losing everything I had. And, I didn't want that.
He'd grown up Baptist in Texas, but thought Hollywood success meant leaving faith behind. But recovery led him back to Christ, not as routine, but as a relationship. Now he produces and stars in faith-based films like I Can Only Imagine. But most importantly, he finally found peace.
That's really what we're looking for, is the joy of life, which is our gift, actually, that's the relationship with God that we all have. It's at the bottom of it is the joy of being alive.
But what about when faith challenges your perfectly curated image? Kate Upton was the ultimate bombshell. Ask anyone. Sports Illustrated covers, movie roles, millions of followers obsessing over her curves. But the woman known for her body wanted to be known for her soul. She once recalled a moment during a photo shoot when someone made a joke about her faith. I was at a photo shoot wearing a cross necklace that my mom bought me, and somebody made a joke like, "Why are you wearing a cross? Like you would be religious." And then they took my necklace away. I was really affected by that. The whole thing made me realize that I do want a cross with me at all times. So she got a tattoo of a cross on her finger. Permanent proof of her faith that no one could take away. You have to think hard with a tattoo. What will I love for the rest of my life? Her answer was clear, her relationship with God. She became a beacon, proving that true beauty comes from within, and that faith doesn't have to hide, not even in Hollywood. Now, from models to legendary actresses, Brooke Shields grew up in the spotlight, sexualized from childhood in films like Pretty Baby. By her teens, she was a global superstar, but she was completely lost in an industry that didn't have her back.
I was evidently their master plan, which is ridiculous, but it's all about what's gonna sell.
Years of therapy, struggles with postpartum depression, and personal crises led her to a surprising discovery: faith. I found God later in life, she admits. It gave me the peace I'd been searching for my whole career. This child star who was exploited by the industry found freedom in faith. There you have it. 8 celebrities, 8 different journeys. One common thread: they all refused to stay silent about their faith. Sure, some lost their friends or even their careers, but all of them found something Hollywood can't give, and that's eternal purpose, proving that God is on the move in unexpected places. But let's hear what you think. Which story inspired you most? Please drop your thoughts in the comments and hit subscribe for more stories of courage.